Hi, my name is Ellie Campbell. I'm the principal herpetologist here at the Akron Zoo. That means I take care of all of our reptiles and amphibians. Today I want to share with you a little bit of information about our conservation partners, and I also want to talk about AZA SAFE's new North American turtle program. First off, I want to talk about some of our conservation partners. Here at the Akron Zoo, we partner with the Turtle Survival Alliance and the AZA SAFE program. And in those programs, they all kind of have similar initiatives in which the goal is really to conserve and protect our turtle and tortoise species. And the reason why this is so important is because there's a huge problem with illegal turtle trafficking on top of all your typical habitat degradation and population decline that you see with all of our other species of conservation concern. Now, one of our really cool turtle species here at the Akron Zoo is the yellow-spotted Amazon river turtle. It looks like it's hiding behind me over here. So this is one of our females. The females are larger, the males are a little bit smaller. So we do have a conservation fund that goes out to various programs. So we did give money to Amazon Forever, and what they did is they were able to build a facility for some of their hatchling grow-out yellow-spotted Amazon river turtles. Now this is important because people local to that area in South America like to eat turtle eggs as a tradition. So they'll go out to the beaches, harvest the turtle eggs, and consume them, which is okay, except it got to the point where it's maybe a little bit unsustainable. So some of our partners, like I said, the Turtle Survival Alliance, the Wildlife Conservation Society, have done a really great job going out there and making sure that harvest of turtle eggs is sustainable. Now, why would this turtle species be so important? Part of the reason why these guys are so important is because they have mineral secretions that come out of the corner of their eyes. Sometimes when you guys cry, it's a little bit salty, right? So these turtles also have mineral secretions around their eyes, and butterflies in South America rely on those secretions to be able to continue on. It's their way of storing energy, which is really cool. So if you go down to South America at certain times of the year, you'll see our yellow-spotted Amazon river turtles basking on the shoreline with all of these butterflies coming down and taking up the minerals around their eyes. So that's pretty cool, huh? So a couple more quick fun facts about our yellow-spotted Amazon river turtles, I know that's a mouthful, is that these guys are very social animals. So what's really unique is a lot of freshwater turtle or tortoise species aren't necessarily social, but these freshwater turtles actually act a lot like a big family, a big community, which is pretty cool. So they've actually begun discovering that just like birds will make noise before they hatch out of their egg, these particular turtle species will start to make noise before they hatch out of the egg. And that the females will come up closer to the shoreline and they will all hang out together and go out to their feeding grounds. So that was some newer information shared at the Turtle Survival Alliance Symposium the other year. Another cool fact about yellow-spotted Amazon river turtles is that they don't have a mouth like we do. They actually have a beak like a bird. And so when they start off their life, they're eating advantageously. They might be eating some invertebrates, a little bit of fish, a little bit of vegetation. And as they grow older, they become predominantly vegetarian. So you might see behind me there are a couple of carrots and a couple of greens floating on the surface of the pool. So that's pretty neat because just like when you grow up, you start to have a different taste in foods and everything. So that's something really neat about their dinner habits. Now I'd like to introduce to you one of our very special animals here at the Akron Zoo. This is Franklin. He's a 3-year-old yellow-spotted Amazon river turtle. So as you can see, there's a dramatic difference between this little hatchling and the turtles behind me. So what you can see pretty easy on Franklin is that beak I was talking about a little bit earlier, and he does have a soft nose up in the front. You can see the feet are webbed, great for swimming and digging. And there's a little tiny barbel on his chin, so that helps him to sense what's going on in the water motions and everything. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about our AZA SAFE program. So AZA is the Association of Zoos and Aquariums. The Akron Zoo is AZA accredited. And a SAFE program is Saving Animals from Extinction. The SAFE program really focuses on combining together zoos and aquariums with non-government organizations and law enforcement like U.S. Fish and Wildlife, along with academics, so we can learn a little bit more about these turtle species. The species they really focus on are in the eastern United States. The reason for that is over in Asia, turtles are really popular pet species. They're also a popular food item and used for traditional medicine. Many of the species over in Asia have really been depleted for those resources, so they're looking to the Northeast United States for those turtle species, which is really our backyard. So the reason why this is a really big problem is a lot of these animals are already facing habitat degradation, population decline, and all kinds of other factors like pollution in there as well. So they really don't need one more thing causing problems. So what happens is when a turtle is confiscated, oftentimes people will pack away these turtles in socks or all kinds of creative packaging and send them out over to Asia. Some of them are taken from the wild. A vast majority are bred here in the United States and are attempted to be illegally shipped over to other countries. There is a regulating body called CITES, which is the Convention on International Trade of Endangered Species, that regulates whether or not an animal can be legally traded outside of a particular company, and that's or country, and that is an international organization. And they really rely on the IUCN. Now, the IUCN is the group that decides whether or not an animal is endangered by considering all different factors, whether or not that animal has a large habitat, if there's a lot of poaching, what's going on over there. So this really is an international, multifaceted collaborative, and so we're really very excited here at the Akron Zoo to be a part of this. So what will happen is when a turtle is confiscated, so say a spotted turtle is confiscated at an airport, instead of having wildlife authorities have to worry about, oh my goodness, where do we house this animal? Okay, how do we take care of this animal? Can it go back into the wild? They're actually passing those turtles on to zoos and aquariums to either hold in quarantine or to evaluate if they can go right back out into the wild, or do a little bit of digging, so genetic analysis and so forth, to determine where that animal is actually from, what its health looks like. So with turtles and tortoises, everything happens slowly, whether that's moving about or passing parasites. So it's really important that we have groups that can really take the time to evaluate these animals and whether or not they can return back to their natural habitat. Now, something you guys can do at home to help us out is make sure if you find a wild turtle or tortoise that you put it back where you found it, unless it is clearly not a native species, then definitely call somebody for further evaluation. But I've talked to a lot of people locally who think that a turtle or a tortoise in their yard might be lost. And in reality, a lot of these animals will seasonally move around. Once again, the AZA SAFE group we're partnering with really focuses on turtles from the Northeast United States, which includes the North American wood turtle, the bog turtle, Blanding's turtle, and spotted turtle. Now it's time for some fun spotted turtle facts. So spotted turtles are actually native to Ohio. They're found a little bit up north, closer to Cleveland, and all down the east coast of the United States, all the way down to Florida. They do have different lengths of time for egg incubation depending on whether they're from the north or the south, so that's incredibly interesting. A couple of other really cool things about them is that they change the spot number and pattern over time as they shed. These little shapes you see on their shell are called scutes. They shed their scutes over time, and ultimately their pattern changes. So when they first hatch out of the egg, they only have one spot in the center of each of those shapes or each of those scutes around their body. And that's on their top part of their shell, which is called their carapace. The bottom part of their shell is called the plastron. Now what you can see is that this turtle can pull its body in very far, but it cannot close its shell all the way like a box turtle. This is a full-grown female, so as you can see they are very small. Here at the Akron Zoo we have had success in breeding and hatching out spotted turtles. Thank you so much for joining us during this Lunch and Learn. Today we learned about different turtle species, our AZA SAFE program, and some of the conservation that's going on out there. Now we're going to go to Deborah in our education department to learn even more about these wonderful animals.
Hi, my name is Deborah. I work in the education department here at the Akron Zoo, and you've just heard from Keeper Ellie all about the Turtle Survival Alliance. But to really bring it home, we want you to be able to meet a few of our ambassador turtles up close and in person and learn their stories. The first turtles that we are going to start with are Pandora and Shelly. And Pandora and Shelly are both box turtles. Now, within the United States, there are actually 4 different subspecies of box turtles in the eastern part of our country. So Pandora, who I have right here, is an eastern box turtle. So this is the type that you would find right here in Ohio. Now, her roommate down here, Shelly, is actually a 3-toed box turtle, and they get that name, this is really crazy, because they have 3 toes on their back feet as opposed to 4. And 3-toed box turtles are more common in the south central part of the United States, and in fact they are officially the state reptile of Missouri. Now, Shelly and Pandora have both lived here at the Akron Zoo since 1996, and they were actually a private donation. Now, here's the thing. As far as box turtles living here in Ohio, it's illegal to remove them from their native habitat. So though we don't know for sure the entire story on these guys before they came to live at the zoo, there's a pretty good likelihood that they were removed from their native habitat. Now, it is legal to remove certain species of turtles from their native habitat here in Ohio, but it is actually only the snapping turtle and the soft-shell turtle, and you do still have to have a license to do that. And so the fact that box turtles are actually commonly kept as pets is really revealing, because people legally shouldn't be keeping these animals, legally shouldn't be breeding these animals, and yet somehow they're showing up in the pet market. And that was the case with Shelly and Pandora. Now, box turtles here in Ohio are considered a species of concern, and that means that their numbers are on the decline. And as far as the IUCN Red List, which is the International Union for the Conservation of Nature, they are considered a threatened species or vulnerable species, and the next step is actually then considered endangered. So we're really hoping that these guys start to head in the other direction in terms of their wild numbers. Now, I did bring a favorite snack of Shelly and Pandora, and Shelly and Pandora are really funny because they live together, they're both box turtles, but they have very, very different personalities. Pandora is incredibly outgoing, she's really bold, she's really curious, where Shelly's a little bit more on the quiet side. And so we'll see here. Now, generally what happens with the yummy earthworms is Pandora eats hers first and then tries to steal Shelly's if she hasn't already finished hers as well. All right, come on back here. Now, in case you're wondering why these animals are classified as turtles, because they don't really look like turtles, they look a lot more like tortoises. Some differences between turtles and tortoises is turtles generally spend most of their time in the water, where tortoises are going to be more terrestrial, living on land. And you would actually find a box turtle here in Ohio generally in a forested habitat, a grassland habitat, but somewhere near water, but they're spending most of their time on land. Also, tortoises are generally going to have a more high rounded shell compared to turtles. They're going to have a flatter shell, almost more like a pancake, because that helps them to swim through the water faster. And of course, too, aquatic turtles generally are going to have some degree of webbed feet, if not even a flipper. And if we take a look at Shelly and Pandora, not a whole lot of webbing there between those toes. They actually have some pretty long claws, which are good for digging in the dirt, finding things like worms to eat, bugs, and all of those yummy, creepy crawly things that they like to make their dinner. Now, one thing though that does still make these animals turtles is a special adaptation that they have on their shell, and this is unique to box turtles. Pandora is intent on coming closer to the camera over there. If we look at the bottom of Pandora's shell, there is a line right here, and it's actually a hinge, like what would be on a door, which would allow you to open and close the door. And for a box turtle, if they would feel threatened, not only can they pull head, arms, legs, and tail all inside the shell, they can actually use this hinge to then close the top part of their shell up to the bottom part of their shell, both in the back and in the front. And it boxes them inside, and they're nice and safe from most of their predators. Doesn't really work very well on cars. And so that's a really special adaptation that they have. Now, I think Pandora might have just spotted the earthworm because it started to move. And in case you were wondering how many teeth they have to chew up that yummy earthworm, they actually have 0 teeth. Turtles are going to have a beak much more like a bird. And so it is sharp and pointy, and they can use that to, again, eat all different number of insects and worms, but they do eat vegetation as well, so they would be classified as an omnivore. I hope that you have had a lot of fun getting a chance to meet Pandora and Shelly. These are really amazing animals to learn about, and they give us such an opportunity to teach people about what is happening to turtles worldwide and why they're having so much trouble. And it's a great opportunity for people to connect with an endangered species. So thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you on the next one.